You know, Star Wars is a really iconic and well-known series, and it's not so because of just no reason. I mean, it's pretty obvious that Star Wars would be as famous as it is nowadays with its massive lore, likable characters, great movies, well, great three movies, and so, yeah, and during this movies of Star Wars, there was a time period known as the Dark Days. And yes, I know we're going through our own dark days right now with all the garbage Disney is releasing. But no, I'm not really referring to that. I am referring to the prequels. Okay, so the prequels, oh boy. Episode 1, I think is, not good at all, but it's not awful. I think it's okay. If you're a diehard fan of the originals, you might find some enjoyment here, but if you're not really sure on Star Wars to begin with, I don't think it's worth your time. Episode 2, a train wreck. Absolutely godful. Just, godful? What? Oh my god. God awful. My bad. Just a waste of time. A snore fest. Terrible. And so, because of these first two movies, episode 3 pretty much had everything going against it. It had the same characters, same director, it was just basically going to be another prequel. So a lot of people weren't really hyped about it. The only reason people were hyped about it was because this was going to be the movie to connect the prequels and the original trilogy, which everyone knows and loves. So, the movie came out and people dismissed it as another crappy Star Wars prequel. And that's understandable. However, this was my first Star Wars movie, and after rewatching it, I have a very, very, very unpopular opinion, but I personally think that Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, is my favorite Star Wars movie. And no, it's not because of nostalgia. Let me explain. Okay, so now that I got the history of the prequels out of the way, let me just, actually, talk about the movie. So one thing that just immediately makes this movie better than episode 2 and 1 is the pacing. My god, is the pacing good. And the reason the pacing stays good is that there's always something going on. Like at the first subplot is them rescuing Chancellor Palpatine from General Grievous. Second, we're learning about Anakin and Padme's child getting birth. I don't know, whatever that crap is. And then third is stopping General Grievous. Fourth is trying to stop Palpatine. And then the fifth is Anakin's downfall. And the sixth is Anakin versus Obi-Wan. As you can see, all these subplots are pretty interesting. And all of them are not as snorefest like episode 2 was. I think they are pretty fun. So even if you don't like these subplots, you can't help but argue that they are actually pretty interesting and heavy topics that define the series, that like major topics that are at least interesting to see unfold. So I thought it's pretty good. And speaking of Anakin's progression, I also want to talk about that. So I think that Anakin's downfall to becoming a Sith is probably the major highlight of this movie. So we've been following Anakin for 2 movies now, and whether you like them or hate him, it's clear that you're supposed to feel bad for him. And in episode 3, they do a really good job. You see, you start out with an Anakin who is still a hothead and not ready, but is overall sympathetic and really is trying to do the right thing, what he believes is the right thing. But after intense manipulation, trauma, all this stuff, the dark side finally grabs hold of him and he turns into Darth Vader, our favorite Star Wars antagonist we know and love. So yeah, that's just I honestly thought it was really well done, really well executed. I thought it was pretty good. And another thing I want to talk about is the action and CGI. Oh my god, if the choreography for the action scenes doesn't do it for you, the mere spectacle will. Because Jesus Christ, George Lucas pulled off all of the stops to make these scenes look amazing. Every lightsaber fight is awesome. Every lightsaber fight, every planet, all of the makeup, everything looks great. I mean, that's to be expected considering this is a Star Wars movie that has a really high budget. But still, it's really amazing. And another thing I want to discuss is General Grievous. I know this is minor and not a lot of people care for Grievous. Understandable, he didn't do a lot in this movie. But General Grievous is so freaking cool. I'm sorry. General Grievous is my favorite Star Wars antagonist. I don't know why people don't like him, but just think about it. This guy is an unbeatable cyborg who can rival the likes of Obi-Wan Kenobi and collects the lightsabers from the fallen Jedi that he slaughtered. How is that not awesome? And then his cough. It's a coughing robot. I don't know. Pretty cool. But yeah, General Grievous' time in this movie was pretty brief, and I wish he was longer, and his death was really anticlimactic, but I still enjoyed his presence. And so now the the final thing I want to talk about well, not the final thing, but one of the final things I want to talk about before I end this off is the funny flaws. Okay, so every movie has flaws, and this is definitely without exception when talking about the prequels. No matter how much I like this movie, I can't help but say that it has a lot of flaws. Not a lot of flaws, but a pretty good amount. Like Palpatine, for instance, does a lot of silly stuff he does, but the silly stuff he does is so stupid, it's honestly amazing. Like, he'll say like a stupid line like, unlimited power, or do it, and crap like that. I don't know, the actor worked with what he had, but it came off really freaking funny, and I don't know, I think that the flaws don't really hurt the movie because they're more funny than they are harming it. They do break the immersion sometimes, like Mace Windu's face right there, like, what is that? But I think the flaws aren't that bad, and even if they are bad, I think they provide even more entertainment to the film, so I don't know, screw it. But with all of that said and done, yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say about episode 3. And I know one final question. What does episode 3 have that the originals didn't have? And to be honest, nothing. I think the originals are still better constructed movies. However, that doesn't take away from the magic and charm episode 3 brings to me. I feel that it's a really entertaining ride with some really decent performances that are really overlooked, amazing action scenes, and I don't know, I just love this movie, which is why it's my favorite Star Wars movie. And I just felt like May 4th, National Star Wars Day, was the day to talk about it and just to give my very, 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 very unpopular opinion on this movie. So yeah, that's it. And also, guess what? So, you know how I mentioned the dark days on how the sequels are being released by Disney and everything's being ruined and all yada yada, and the originals were great? I have recently taken common fondness in the Star Wars series. I have always loved Star Wars. I have always been a fan, but recently I've been going back and watching the movies, and I would like to premiere my What's With series with Star Wars. Episode 1 will be if you guys don't know what What's With is, basically it's a critiquing series I'm going to do where I dive into deep analysis over a series of movies, and I think I'm going to do that with all the Star Wars movies. Crap, even the spin-offs. And I'm just going to give my opinion on all the movies and just what I think. Crap, maybe the TV shows if I have that much time, which I probably won't, so don't get your hopes up on the TV shows. But I will talk about the movies and most likely even the spin-offs that come with it. Every single Star Wars movie. It's an ambitious project, so I'm going to try it, and yeah, wish me luck, everyone. So yeah, I will see you guys then, but until then, may the 4th be with you. Thank you for tuning in to my talk on episode 3 and why it's my favorite Star Wars movies on National Star Wars Days, and I will see you guys later. May the 4th be with you.